You're watching Behind the Bar with Paul Starr.
Welcome to Behind the Bar with Paul Starr, brought to you by William Hill, the proud sponsor of the World Darts Championship. We're at Butlins in Minehead, the UK Open 2016, and earlier we caught up with Rod Harrington, who looked ahead to week number 6 of the Premier League from Nottingham. Rod's odds for night number 6 of the Premier League in Nottingham. First game on, Rod, Michael Smith, Gary Anderson. Michael Smith 7-2, 9-2 to draw, 1-2 Gary. Because of the relationship between the players, does that make a difference?
I think it does. I think Michael Smith's got nothing to lose here, and so he'll go up the one who's not a bit edgy. I think Gary Anderson may be a bit edgy. I mean, Michael Smith got his first win on the board last week, so he's going to be more confident because the first 3 weeks were pretty brutal for him, you know, a baptism of fire. But the win against Barneveld will give him a lot of confidence. Gary Anderson beat Thornton, but it weren't the greatest of games. And in the UK Open, he got booted out by O'Reilly's qualifier, which was very unexpected from Gary Anderson. I do think that Gary Anderson's going to get over the line here. I think he's going to have just that extra scoring power and the experience on that big stage to get him over the line. So I'm going to go for an Anderson win.
Second game on, Rod, we have Peter Snakebite Wright, Adrian Lewis. Peter Wright 13-10, 16-5 the draw. Adrian Lewis 6-4. Adrian he suffered last week in the Premier League and not a wonderful UK Open either. So he has been looking more like the Adrian we know, but Peter Wright is doing the business. Do you fancy Peter here? Yeah,
I think actually this is going to be a very close game. I mean, you've got Peter Wright, who I believe will win a major sooner rather than later. I think he's got a great game in him, great scoring power, got a lot of bottle, and he takes out some good shots at crucial times. He's got a good average game as long as he doesn't change his darts again. If he keeps the darts that he played with 2 or 3 weeks ago, then they fly through the air a lot better. He gives them a little bit more airtime. But Adrian Lewis, to me, he's starting to look a little bit tired, a little bit haggard at times, and it comes out in his game. It did in the UK Open, it did last Thursday. But we know what Adrian Lewis can do. I mean, when he is serious and playing well, there isn't many people who can beat him. When you weigh it up, and I've looked at the stats, gone backwards and forwards, I've got to sit firmly on the fence here. I think it's going to be a draw. I really do. I think we're going to see a couple of scrappy legs from Adrian Lewis, but I think Peter Wright may be the more consistent out of the two, but then Adrian Lewis will fire in 2 or 3 11 darts here or there. So when I've weighed it up, I think I've got to go for the draw.
Third game on, Rod, we have Raymond van Barneveld at 6-4, 13-10 Wadey, and again just over 3-1, 16-5 the draw. Wadey's been looking good. Barney, not so much the last couple of weeks, even though he did get over the line last week. Where are you going on that one, Bob?
Well, this is an interesting encounter, really. I mean, you've got Barney, who we know how good he is, but he's very inconsistent. I mean, he's having great legs normally on his throw, but he's having some real poor legs, which cost him against Michael Smith last week and has cost him the UK Open as well. Where James Wade, I mean, he played exceptionally well last week, very solid. His UK Open weren't as good. He was stuck on one of the other boards and didn't go well for him. But Wade has got a lovely solid game with him, and when Wade up the 2 on the stats, it's Wade that comes out just above Barney on that overall consistent game. However, again, sneaky feeling is that there may be a draw coming here, but I am going to stick my neck out and go for Wade for a close game. But William will do a lovely bet here over on legs, and I think there's going to be plenty of legs in this game, so I'd go over on legs, but Wade just to sneak it.
So, Rod, our fourth game, we have Robert Thornton 11-2, the draws 11-2, and then a very, very short price, Phil Taylor at 3-10. Can you see anything apart from a Phil Taylor win here?
I'm afraid I can't. I mean, we talk about Robert Thornton. I mean, he is a class player. When he won the World Grand Prix against Michael van Gerwen last year in Dublin, I mean, he was superb. And I keep mentioning it week in, week out. He then had a real bad foot injury, and then over Christmas he come down with his chest infection, and he really hasn't got 100% full health at the moment. I don't believe that. And it's shown in his darts. He's not consistent like he used to be. but he's coming up against a Taylor that's on form. His darts are good, the grip, he showed me the grip at the end of them, you know, it's a nice firm grip.
He's happy,
you know, he's very happy with that. He seems to be very happy in life at the moment, got a smile on his face. Well, when you're winning, it does help, doesn't it, to put a smile on your face. But Phil Taylor is back. I mean, he's now nearly every game over the 100 averages. I think it's going to be a good Phil Taylor win. I don't see him having any bad games anymore like he did early part of the year. So when you take the form line, you know, Taylor wins it all the way.
I think so. And did you think what happened at the Masters with Robert Thornton being 8-0 up against Chizzy? I don't say it's in his mind, but it seems to have affected him. Is that possible? Would that carry on that long for a professional dart player?
It does. There's certain things that happen in your career. We call them scar tissue. And certainly that does hang around, you know, whether it's be conscious or subconsciously, it just rears its head now and again. You know, we've talked about Chizzy with the snatch, the same, and other players. But certainly I think that really was, I mean, if he'd have gone on to win that game 10-4, 10-5, and all of a sudden I think we'd have seen a better Robert Thornton. But it's just dragged him down, and you know, when that element of doubt gets in your head, it really does hurt. And yeah, I think you're right, it has caused a problem.
Okay, now final game. What a ding-dong affair this could possibly be. We've got Chizzy 11-2, the draws 11-2, 3-10, the mighty green machine. Can anyone tip against Michael van Gerwen?
No, I think that there's only possibly Phil Taylor at the moment that can beat him. I mean, over this short distance, you know, they have got a chance. And Chizzy with that, he has got electrifying scoring power, as we know. But Michael van Gerwen at the moment, I mean, he's just firing in, you know, incredible leg after leg after leg. He's so confident at the moment. He could probably throw darts left-handed and beat most of them. That's how he's feeling. He said he's got this invincibility that we've talked about on the William Hill website quite a few times. You know, and when you've got that invincibility, you just look at your opponent in the back of his head when he's throwing and going, don't care what you're going to hit, you cannot beat me. Yeah. And that's where Michael van Gerwen is at the moment. So he's going to be very tough to beat. We know Chizzy, as I said, has got great scoring power. And if he can get out the gate quick, he could cause Michael a bit of a problem. But when you look at Chizzy's last 5, 6, 10 events, every time it gets down to the nitty-gritty, this snatch, thrust, whatever you'd like to call it, but he just comes off and it's a shoulder in, his head comes back. And that's causing him a problem. Now, he's a great player and he plays with it and plays very well. Whether he's ever going to win a major with it, maybe, maybe not. But certainly when he's playing Michael van Gerwen at his top, he cannot afford to waste one dart. No. And that's where I've got to go for a Michael van Gerwen win. I think everybody in the country would go for a Michael. And at 10-3, you know, if you double that up with Phil Taylor at 10-3, I know they're 2 odds on, but you're probably just under an even bet. Which, do you know what? You take an even bet on a win. But I think van Gerwen all the way here. Yeah, and I look at speaking to Dave. Since he beat Michael in the Grand Prix a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, Michael's made him pay a few times since then, hasn't he? On the big stage, and his words were, Chizzy keeps bumping into a good Phil Taylor or a good Michael van Gerwen, and that affects, you know, because you can beat any of the other players, but when the big games are on the stage, you keep playing those players and they keep getting better with you, and it does affect you, doesn't it? Well, it does. What's going to happen to win any tournament? You're going to have to beat, I don't know, 5, 6 players, and you may have an easier draw in the first and get over it. But if you're going to win it, your semi-final and final is against 2 of the top players on form. And that's where Chizzy just lacks that extra killer instinct. And as I said, that little flaw in his throw, I believe, other people don't, I believe that's the one thing that's holding him back. And I think, you know, we may see it against van Gerwen. If van Gerwen starts to pummel him, then we'll see that come out. But I think it's going to be over on the 180s in that game. And I think over on the checkout as well. Both of them like checkouts, especially van Gerwen at the moment. So maybe they're good markets. Anything in particular, any specials you want to give our viewers there, Rod, on week number 6 of the Premier League? Yeah, I'll always do, you know, as we've done a bit on each match, and at the end I always like to put in my own tips that I suggest people. Yeah, good stuff. And that 3-10, both for van Gerwen and Taylor, for the odds-on backers, I think is a great bet, because they like odds-on. James Wade, the last 2 weeks I've tipped him to have over his checkout. He's come up both times. When Wade is on form, he does a lot of that. Just over that 100 to about 110. James Wade's one of the kings at that. So back on James Wade on that. And I think Chisnell against Michael van Gerwen, I think we're going to see a lot of 180s in that match. We know Michael van Gerwen hits a lot of 180s. So I would go over on the 180s in that match. And the one bet, I keep telling you, get on the 9 data. It's going to happen again. You can't play as well as Michael van Gerwen, Phil Taylor and the other boys are playing without the 9 data. You've got to get on the 9.